Hey guys, we're back with another awesome question. Today's question was sent in by George. George asked, how do I catch the fish that are swimming under my kayak? They just are hanging out and they're spooked easy, but they won't bite. Sometimes you're just not going to be able to catch some fish, and it's a hard pill to swallow. Throughout the springtime, we find a lot of redfish they just aren't willing to eat. And there's nothing you can really do about it. I've changed lures and everything, changed the approach, but they're waiting for the perfect moment. Sometimes they're waiting for the sun to come out. Like, it's been foggy here in Northwest Florida for the last week, so some of the fish have been slow to feed, and we haven't really been able to sight fish too many fish. But as that water temp warms up, as things change, those fish are going to come around and start feeding. What I do is I recommend that you change your approach. So instead of coming in directly and going right to where those fish are, try fishing on the outside edge. There might be 100 fish there, but you might only get 1 or 2 bites, and that is something that you're just gonna have to live with. It's a sad reality, but the fish don't always eat. I don't always eat. You don't always eat. The fish, sometimes they're not hungry. Sometimes they are stressed out. Sometimes they've been pressured. One of the things is about fishing public water is you never know if a jet ski drove through there 10 minutes before you showed up. You never know if a guy was hanging out on his dock or if his dog was running in the water. You don't know those things. So it's important that you keep that stuff in mind. And if you find fish that aren't feeding, obviously keep a mental note of it. Take notes. Were there birds in the area? Was there a lot of bait? Was there any bait at all? Keep that stuff in mind and then move on and come back. Check the tide. Was the water moving? Is it a neap tide? What's going on? Did it rain all night? Did it rain all morning? Was it windy? Is it calm? Is there a front coming? Keep that stuff in mind. The good news is you already found those fish. Now you just need to change up your approach, whether it's downsizing your lure, maybe even using live bait. Sometimes those things have to happen to catch those fish. Now, if you find those fish and they're not biting, I don't recommend staying there and pressuring them. You found them, they're not feeding, move on, look for actively feeding fish. George, that's a great question about finicky fish. I know it's unfortunate that you're not always going to be able to catch them, but it really is part of it. Cover water, find feeding fish, and you'll catch those fish. I think you'd really be surprised how many fish are around you at all times, and you only end up catching 5 or 6 of them. There's hundreds and hundreds of fish out there around you pretty much all the time. You're just not always going to get bit. Keep that stuff in mind. I appreciate you submitting the questions. If someone else is watching this video and you have a question, get down there in the description, submit your question on our webpage, and we'll get to it eventually. There's a ton of questions, a ton of great questions, but we just can't get to all of them instantly. If you're still watching this video, comment below and tell me when's the time that you went fishing and the fish just wouldn't bite and it was very frustrating, because as a guy who does it for a living, it happens. It is frustrating, but there's just not that much you can do about it. You got to stick to your plan, move on, and have confidence you can find fish elsewhere. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch, and I look forward to you guys submitting your questions.